JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.
Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, jctickets.net, Geico Insurance, Donaway Furniture, Ocean City Golf Club, RussellStreetReport.com, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Holiday Inn Express, the original Green Turtle, hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
Welcome back. It is the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap show right here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, the strongest Ravens signaled affiliate on the peninsula. 93.5 The Beach, broadcasting from the Ravens Room of the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, 127th Street Coastal Highway at Ocean City, with Ravens fans across Delmarva. And of course, 44. Give yourselves a hand. 44. Don't forget the upcoming game, of course, 1 o'clock in Miami, taking on the Dolphins. Network pregame show at 12:30. Our show airing at 11 on 93.5 The Beach and WZBHRocks.com. Want to thank, of course, the Green Turtle, the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, our friends at Bud Light, the Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Geico, the Ocean City Golf Club, jctickets.net, Holiday Inn Express Northside Ocean City, and Donaway Furniture. Mike Bradley, Steve Slaza, Bobby Vermillion, and Tom Moore, all guests joining us, special guest Tom Moore. And two quick things before we get into taking a trip around the AFC North, and we'll preview the Miami game. I always do my high school update. Stephen Decatur took it on the chin to Kent Island last week, 42-8. It was a rough one. So Decatur now at 2-2. They got a big game against Easton on Friday. So best of luck to Bob Knox and the Seahawks. Indian River, after having a tough start to the season, they get a win against Smyrna. They beat Milford. They're now 2-2 now. So congratulations to the Indians getting back on track. Also, I wanted to make mention of the fact, and now I just blanked on what I was going to talk about there. that happens from time to time. So
Ben Tate's doing well.
Yes, yes, he is. Yeah. No, we're going to take a trip around the AFC North right now quickly. So as it stands right now, the Ravens are at 2-2. The Cleveland Browns are in 2-2. We'll talk about them in a second, as of course we have the tiebreaker. Cincinnati at 2-2, and the Pittsburgh Steelers at 0-4. Oh, that's all we could get for an 0-4 Steelers? Come on.
Where's Foxy tonight?
Yeah, right. Well, he'll be on in a couple weeks, so we got to watch it. But, hey, there's no question in my mind that game will still be close when we play it. But anyway, we'll get to that when we get to that. All right, the Cleveland Browns, folks, they beat the Cincinnati Bengals 17-6. Brian Hoyer, again, third-string quarterback, throws for 269 yards. Mr. Cameron again. Jordan Cameron, the tight end. Now, we held him down pretty well. But Jordan Cameron had 91 receiving yards, had a touchdown. He looked good. McGahee got in about 50 yards on the ground. But Brian Hoyer looks comfortable. But how about that defense holding down a potent Cincinnati offense? The Cleveland Browns maybe, just maybe, turning the page. But it was a good loss for us in terms of Cincinnati. Everybody's darling. Every time they start talking about the Bengals, well, that's what happens. They do a Brown.
They're definitely a paper champion. I just don't think that, when it comes to it, they have the depth that is going to be able to take them where they need to go.
I think the Cincinnati Bengals are a team that they just don't know how to win. And you see that. I think they have one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. They have still a question mark in my mind at quarterback because I think Andy Dalton's not proven. So, and when you play an in-division game, which is somewhat of a rivalry between the Bengals and obviously the Browns, Cleveland's not, it's not an easy out. And before the season started, when you looked at the Cleveland Browns, you looked at their roster and you thought they were going to be pretty good. We thought Cleveland would be a team that was kind of up and coming. And then they get off to a bad start. They trade Richardson, and you're wondering maybe they're giving up again. Well, in fact, the guys in that locker room have a lot of pride. So you really have to take your hat off to the Cleveland Browns for the way they're playing. They come back and they beat a good Cincinnati Bengals team. But, again, the Bengals, I thought, would probably be the team to beat in the AFC North. But right now, they're struggling a little bit as well.
The Browns really came out. They played hard. They didn't quit. They could have given up, quit as a team. They didn't do it. I think they're very good defensively. And let's not forget who their offensive coordinator is, Norv Turner. And we know what he's done to us when he was the head coach of San Diego, some of the games that they've had against the Ravens. So I think the Browns are surprising. I don't see the Browns going anywhere, but I do see the Bengals getting better. But this, just as you said, Steve, this was a very good loss for the Ravens. They needed to see that happen because now if the Ravens beat Cincinnati twice, suddenly they're looking pretty good.
And Josh Gordon coming back, that's big for that Cleveland passing offense as well. And they like to get vertical. Yeah.
Don't count out the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know they're banged up. They're 0-4, but they're only two games out of the AFC North right now. So, don't get ahead of yourselves if you're a Ravens fan, because I tell you what, the Steelers are still out there. And one thing about Ben Roethlisberger, he's not going to quit, and neither is Mike Tomlin.
Bobby, I agree with you. And the Delaware Sports Lottery has a lot of my money because I bet that the Steelers wouldn't go 0-4, and they did. So trust me, I put my faith in them. But no, I agree with you on that. The Steelers did lose in London to Minnesota 34-27. Ironically, the offense played a pretty good game, and Le'Veon Bell, who made his first start, had 2 touchdowns and gave him a semblance of a running game. Ironically enough, the defense, who had played well all year, they're good. They don't have depth, but that's still a very good 11 on the defensive side. They had a tough game, and most people do against Adrian Peterson, who had 140 yards. Minnesota gets a 34-27 win. Pittsburgh, by the way, they also make a trade for a left tackle, and they trade a late-round compensatory pick for Levi Brown from Arizona. However, I think the Ravens got the best of the trade. Eugene Monroe, I think, is a lot better than Levi Brown. That's a turnstile there, although it might be better than what they have in Mike Adams, who they drafted out of Ohio State. All right, let's preview the upcoming game against the Miami Dolphins, who come in at 3-1. They run a West Coast offense. They have a little zone read option with their quarterback. They also run the hurry up. Their defense is a 4-3. They come in 20th passing the ball, 24th rushing. Defensively, they're 24th against the pass, but 10th against the run. They beat the Cleveland Browns Week 1, 23-10. They go on the road to Indianapolis and win 24-20 in a division game. They beat Atlanta 27-23, and then they lose to New Orleans on Monday Night Football 38-27. But guys, this is a team, and I'll start on the defensive side. That front seven here, yet again, the Ravens face another really good front seven, not only against the run, but against the pass in terms of getting after the passer, that is.
I think it'll be interesting, playing in Miami. And, we were talking before off air, the Ravens very rarely lose 2 in a row. And I think the Buffalo game, could help us against Miami. I don't think we're going to go down there and hopefully lay the egg that we laid in Buffalo. But, also, playing in front of, their fans have not been behind them, but they're 3-1 right now. I think, if they have a full house, I think it's going to be a much tougher and a much different atmosphere for us to play in.
Well, it used to be a home game in Miami when the Ravens would play the Dolphins, but I think this year there'll be a lot more Dolphins fans, albeit a lot of people from Ravens Roost 44 will be there. And I know a lot of Ravens fans are headed down that way, so I know that there'll be a very vocal group of Ravens fans. So I think that's going to bode well for the team. But this is a talented football team, Mike. The upgrades they made on both sides of the ball. They got Donnell Ellerby. He's actually their leading tackler right now. So
and
he's
third leading tackler in the NFL.
Yeah, he's actually playing very well. Of all the guys we lost, he's probably playing the best, and that goes for Anquan Bolden as well. And then on the other side of the ball, you've got Mike Wallace, who makes a difference, and their quarterback's playing well. So I think there's a team that's dangerous. I do believe, like Steve said, the Ravens should bounce back this week, but it's certainly not an easy game on the schedule as we thought it might be early in the year, because they're 3-1. They got some momentum and they got some talent on that team.
They're playing with a lot of confidence, but also let's not forget they are susceptible to quarterback sacks. If Dumerville and Suggs get going, I think Tannehill, I believe, leads the league in sacks taken.
18 sacks, so that's an average of 4 a game.
And there is some speculation that McKinney could end up there. They're saying that the Ravens are trying to move McKinney, and maybe the Dolphins are a team that they may look at.
Are they looking to help their passing game?
I'm just saying that they're a desperate situation because, as you mentioned, they do not protect their quarterback very well, so they need to upgrade, and maybe McKinney's an upgrade for them.
What the Ravens need to do if they want to win the game, they've got to establish the run, and they've got to just get some momentum out of the gate. They didn't do it in Buffalo. They need to do it against Miami. This team, if you get that crowd going that has been absent for so long, they're probably going to be very loud and very vocal and be a problem for the Ravens.
Let's see.
Now, our friend, Bruce Laird says all the time, he said, see, football's simple. He goes, you run the ball, you stop the run. Obviously that's an over-dramatization, but, the Ravens didn't do either. And, I could see not running the ball, but, Bobby, we were talking, before the show, is I couldn't see us not stopping the run. And, that is the thing to me that's, most alarming.
Well, I would say this too. I think it's more about the Ravens than it is about the Dolphins this week. I want to see what team shows up on both sides of the ball. The one thing that we haven't talked about, we've been a little bit negative this week because obviously we're coming off a loss from Buffalo, but I think Tom alluded to it earlier. This is still a team that's in transition. You've got all kind of new pieces on both sides of the ball. So on the offensive side, a new center. You've got some young wide receivers. You're having an offense that's trying to find their way. And then even on the other side of the ball, you've got a lot of new pieces there. So I think this team, the good news for Ravens fans, this team will only get better as the year progresses. And I think you'll see some of these mistakes getting cleaned up, whether it's penalties, the blocking scheme, the coverage mistakes. So I think as the season goes on, this team gets better. And hopefully this week will be a step in the right direction. I don't know if they win this week, but I just hope they play better than they did in Buffalo.
Yeah, a couple of things again with that defense. Their front seven, very good against the run. They also can get after the passer. And Cameron Wake, who they drafted, he may not play, but his backup, Derek Shelby, has 2 sacks. Along the line, Randy Starks, a Maryland guy, I believe he's got 2 sacks. Their left defense end, Olivier Vernon has some sacks as well. And in the secondary, Brent Grimes leads the way, although their secondary is susceptible. Tannehill, as you mentioned, their quarterback, 65.5% completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, 5 picks, though. The 18 sacks you mentioned with him. He can run a little bit, so don't be surprised if they run a little zone read option with him. He's got some wheels. Former receiver, converted quarterback at A&M. What an athlete. Brian Hartline, an underrated wide receiver. Mike Wallace, though, the vertical stretch guy. Ironically, their fullback / tight end, Charles Clay, is their second leading receiver, along with Brandon Gibson in that one. And, of course, you mentioned, again, back to the defense, no Ellerby. But there's no question, Tom, the Ravens are going to have to run the ball. But until they prove to me that they can, here's another outstanding front that tells me, well, they haven't done it so far. What leads me to believe they're going to do it Sunday?
I think you have to take them by surprise. I think even though John Harbaugh hates to do this, I think this is one of those games where if you win the coin toss, you say, we want the ball. And you come out and just fire away. And you make that. I would run no huddle to start out. I would keep them guessing the whole time and then get the run going through that. That way you're taking some of the pressure off your offensive linemen.
All right, about 50 seconds. Let's go down and get predictions, guys. We'll start with you.
I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Ravens come back, rebound, win. I'm going to say 27-24. Okay.
I say the Ravens win 2017. That's a hope because I think it's going to be a tough out in Miami.
I say Ravens 31, Dolphins 27.
Okay, I will take the Ravens 23-17. Wouldn't be shocked, though, if they lose this game, but get better, bounce back, and beat Green Bay at home. But I'll go with the Ravens win in that one. It should be a good one and certainly an important one nonetheless, guys. And we'll see how it turns out because Green Bay
is not
at
going to
home,
be easy in a couple weeks.
Nope, and then Pittsburgh on the road before the bye week. So we'll certainly see about that. Hey, I want to thank everybody for coming on by. It has been the Ravens Wrap Show right here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, 93.5 The Beach. Go Ravens, and we will see you next week. Network pregame at 12:30.
What's this all about?
We're giving Rich the NFL experience of a goal line dive.
Really?
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you could win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Can I make it?
On the internet, yes. Into the end zone, no.
Come see us at Blue Off.
JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.